These are your finalists for the PBA El Paso Classic.
This incredible 40-lane facility just opened this past November. A fantastic setting for the players and fans, and this is the 11th all-time PBA event to come to El Paso, Texas. Randy, how about the matchups?
Got it, Dave. Semifinal number 1 pits fireballer Robert Smith, who looks for his first win of the season, and the crafty Joe Ciccone, who took the last spot in qualifying and parlayed it into a TV Finals appearance. We'll see which hand is dominant in semifinal number 2. Left-hander Parker Bone III looks to improve on last week's second-place finish. And the righty, Chris Barnes, looks to get back in the win column after a 30-event drought.
Randy, let's start with Joe Ciccone. Joe, last year, your first ever career TV show in Tucson, you said at the end of the warm-ups, the nerves settled for you. How are your nerves right now?
A little bit. The lanes are a little different today, so I'm feeling a little bit more nerves to try to figure them out, but hopefully we'll work through it and get it done.
Good luck going for your first title.
Thank you, Randy.
Joe Ciccone. Happy birthday to Robert Smith. 31 years old today. Congratulations on that. Last night, Robert, you told us the mechanics are there, your ability is there. The mental focus this season hasn't been. Is the mental focus there right now for you?
You know, I'm just going to go out and do what I do best. I throw the ball, just make sure I pay attention, commit to what I'm going to do, and then, you know what, if they fall, great. If they don't, you know, so be it, and I hope Joe works out for him to get his first title on the next one. But right now, I'm going to go out there and give my best, and hopefully we'll get to match 2.
Good luck, birthday boy. First ever TV matchup, Randy Peterson, Robert Smith, Joe Ciccone.
Lots of money, almost $250,000 prize fund, total purse. First place $40,000, second $20,000.
All right, right now.
The 1-year exemption for the 2005-2006 season with the win. Valuable points on the line, and judging by that interview, Robert Smith looks like he's got his emotions intact. Joe Ciccone looks a little bit uneasy.
Joe had the sweat going in the warm-ups, and he told us last night that could be a factor for him. We'll see. Maximum ball. Oh, he's got help on a 10 to begin his day. As Robert Smith, 31 years old today, strikes on his first shot.
Yeah, watch the birthday boy send the head pin to the sidewall. The head pin's going to go. Sidewall come across and do its best "He Hate Me" imitation on the 10 pin.
So Joe Ciccone, 29 years old, from Buffalo, but that's just been his hometown since he started college. Actually born and raised in Skaneateles, New York. Good ball for Joe. That is a Finger Lake community near Syracuse. And Joe and I go way back, Rans. We'll talk about leading up to the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup.
Yes, you do. The only thing that really stands out is right here. Spare conversion percentages. If this becomes a spare shooting contest, advantage Joe Ciccone. But guess what? The guys averaged 240s, 250s, high scores all week. It's not going to come down to a spare shooting contest.
Barely made it in, folks. Last to qualify in the round of 32. And Bowl Welly told us, Peter Hernandez, another PBA bowler, said, you might just make it. Joe said, I might make it. I hope so. Another good shot for Joe C.
Joe C. got this ball a little left, but this week we had mistake area on the lanes. That ball holds line, ends up dead flush.
We know Joe very well. He works as our scoreboard operator when he's not on TV. This is just his second career show, so Joe has a great knowledge of the TV side of it as well. Going back to Robert Smith.
Using two different balls, earlier rolling ball in the left lane. That ball in the right lane, Dave, a much cleaner, longer type of bowling ball.
12-4 match play record, Randy, from the round of 32 on. Remember, folks, second event now that our second half of the season has started. Round of 64, 2 7-game blocks.
That's why I'm going to get a little square on this one.
He's talking to himself. That round of 8 match, Dennis Horan Jr.
All right, good pitch.
Robert struck in 8 of the first 9 frames in Game 6 after a 4-bagger in Game 5 to help wrap that up over fellow Southern Californian Dennis Horan from Temecula. Robert from Thousand Oaks, big UCLA fan. Lane level look at it. 10 down the pin again for Robert Smith.
And one of the advantages for Robert Smith on this pattern, because of all of the revs, as you see how close he comes to the edge of the lane, is that with all those revolutions and power, his ball, if it hits anywhere in the 1-3, it's usually a strike.
Last few years, Robert known as the fastest thrower on tour. He and Eugene McCune right up there. Robert has thrown it as much as 34 miles an hour. Joe Ciccone, another strike and a perfect start for Inch. We are even. 238.45 average for Joey. Got by Mika Koivuniemi, last year's Player of the Year, and last week's winner in Mesa. 4 games, had the front 7, did Joe, in that round of 8 match in game 1 against Mika. Overcame a couple of gutter balls. He had 3 gutter balls total in those 3 rounds, but beat some pretty good talent in Norm Duke, and Mika, Justin Romick too.
Well, when we get into our oil pattern, I'll show you why he threw a couple of balls in the channel, but because of the way the lanes are oiled and dressed this week, you have to play the outside part of the lane.
And Joe Ciccone is doing just that. He is going so far right with that ball.
Well, this shot here was a lot further right than the last time he was up on the left lane rather. You could see there is a little bit of help out there. The key this week, though, was not getting to the pocket. It was striking when you got there. And thus far, our guys are perfect through 3.5, 4 frames.
Randy and I will break down the cheetah oil pattern and show you why with the oil so advantageous for big numbers. We're going to see potential perfect games today.
Easy on the grab.
All even.
Come on.
4 strikes for each. Let's check in the road to the PBA Denny's World Championship. Denny's, the official family restaurant of the PBA Tour. Chris Barnes and Parker Bone III, 2 of our competitors today, are in the top 10. And we will see them coming up in a great semifinal matchup. Barnes going for his 6th title. Parker Bone trying to get to 30. He is 5th all-time. Trying to catch up with Pete Weber at number 4, but he's got a few events to get there. That'll be exciting. This finish will also be thrilling. All even. First non-strike of the match.
Just told you not to grab it. You grabbed it again.
A 4-pin for Robert Smith.
Grabs it at the bottom and then gets it right quick. And when that happens, the ball's going to jump and overhook. Robert getting a nice break, avoiding the split, only leaving a 4-pin.
What's this, a spare ball? First time we've seen it today, right? Single pin numbers for Maximum Bob. He has mixed a couple, which is surprising.
This is going to be really fast.
That's heat, folks. He says in our meeting with him last night that he throws that spare ball about 27 miles an hour and he really lets loose on it.
Terrible.
He's not happy.
Done. All right, let's get back on him.
Trying to take advantages, Joe Ciccone. Joe in Syracuse, New York. WSTM was our statistician, scorekeeper. For shows that I got to broadcast with Marty Pirano, a PBA star in his day from Syracuse. First non-strike for Joe. So he's an absolute historian of the game, Joe Ciccone.
And this is the difference between a guy with multiple titles and a guy looking for his first. You give a guy an opening, the champions tend to take advantage of that. And that's something that Joe has to work through. He has to learn that. But keep in mind that Joe Ciccone, his first time on television last year on this very same oil pattern, bowled 255.
Joe has an incredible collection of videotapes talking about his role as our really residential PBA historian. 1991 to present day. Every single TV show. He's got some from the 50s and 60s. Some Earl Anthony and Dick Weber classics. He loves the game. And would love to get his first career win here today in El Paso, Texas. When Randy and I return, we will break down the cheetah pattern and talk about why we'll see such big numbers. And conclude this exciting semifinal. Who advances to the final? Ciccone or Smith? We find out when we return to West Texas. PBA on ESPN is brought to you by Odor Eaters with unique Zorbatex technology. Destroys foot odor and absorbs sweat on contact. By Miller High Life, to live simply, proudly, boldly, manly, this is the High Life. And by Dexter, the #1 bowling shoe in the world. What's your size?
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl.
Ah, yes, the sultry tones of Randy Tex Peterson. A CD will be available on his website. Do me a favor, partner, keep your day job.
Okay.
From all of us on the ESPN crew.
Okay, you
please.
got it.
That was interesting. So we're back here, second event of the second half of our season, and we know we'll have big numbers. We will not have a 300 game with Joe Ciccone today and Robert Smith. We saw that, but it's possible down the road with our other semifinalists and into the final.
Ton of 300 games this week because of the oil pattern. We'll get to that in a second. You know, the most exciting thing to ever see on a bowling telecast is a perfect game. That's why they call it perfect. We've only had 16 of them in the history of the PBA. I think we have a great shot at having one today.
14 different bowlers, folks, able to roll a 300 game, including 12 different 300 games in the round of 64, those 2 qualifying blocks, leading us now to the Cheetah Oil Pattern Crocodile, Randy.
Thank you, Dave. The Cheetah pattern. 35 feet is our shortest pattern that we use. And when it goes short, that equals back end down the lane. Also, we had friction, dry boards on the edges. That's why you see the players playing out there. 2 schools of thought. You can either go up it or you can try to hook it. Get that ball in that friction zone, get it to turn up, and hit the 1-3 as hard as you can.
Just 4 shy of the all-time record for perfect games in a tournament. That went back to 1995, 24 in Peoria, Illinois. 5 bowlers, including Chris Barnes, we'll see against Parker Bone III in the next semifinal, had multiple 300 games this week. Big numbers on the Cheetah pattern. Tight match here. Flirting with the edge of the channel is Robert Smith.
Not there when you don't grab it, Rob.
Or he throws the ball hard.
Grab it, ball hooks. Don't grab it, ball
Take a look at here, Dave. This is in practice. Robert Smith throwing a plastic ball, and what he's doing is he's actually trying to push oil down the lane to create some hold area for him.
Strike percentage numbers for each. Way up there. Today's match. Also saw in practice the bowlers just lightly rolling spare balls down too to try to create that path in the oil. Something you don't see very often. So very deliberate in trying to get themselves the perfect path to the pocket on the Cheetah pattern.
The thing you have to remember is that the strike balls that these guys are using are so strong, they actually absorb oil off the lane. The plastic balls do not. They actually carry the oil down the lane.
Max numbers are way up there. And speaking of a high number, his lone TV show, a loss last year. Tucson, Arizona, Brian Smith. Joe Ciccone who strikes there. Lost at 268, 255. And that was the best of 9 bowlers last year, making their debut highest score in the Tour exemption qualifications. Joe right now is not on that list. Qualified last year on points. And told us very clearly last night, Randy, that he's not looking at the point list. He didn't last year. Was able to sneak in. He's not going to do it this season either. He wants to just focus on his bowling.
I think it's a good idea. You don't want to be distracted and look at stuff that you really have no control of unless you get out there and control your own destiny like Joe's trying to do right there.
Come on.
A 2000 PBA Rookie of the Year, who that year led all the rookies in average cashes, match play appearances, and earnings, is trying to earn himself $40,000 with a win here today. Great pin action from Joe C. Joe talked about a clear picture heading into the show, a game plan he hasn't had in the past. As we talked about with Robert, pre-match interview, it's all about focus in the big moments. Who's going to have the greater focus down our stretch run here? All even. What a match. Maybe the action will be just as exciting next week in Dallas. Heading north through Texas for the finals of the Dallas Open. Coverage starts at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. on the West Coast, only here on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Chris Barnes, basically his home center. We'll see Chris later and tell you about his wife, Linda, who did very well at that Don Carter Lanes West Center in Dallas. Chris won there a couple years ago.
All tied up, heading into the 9th and 10th frame.
Big goal for Robert Smith, second half of the year. He still thinks he can attain Player of the Year honors, win a couple of tournaments, have a good appearance at the 3 remaining majors. This is a step toward that. Exploding through the rack.
Well, Robert Smith has a huge following, including some friends all the way in Hawaii. Jerome Furukawa is having a party as we speak, watching his friend Robert Smith from about, how many miles away is Hawaii, Dave?
Got to be about 4,000 or 5,000.
It's a lot.
Yeah, big ocean. Back to Joe. Has to hurry.
Look out.
Hoping for help on the 10-pin. He won't get it. Needed a strike there to tie it back up.
Situation now is simple. With this spare conversion, Joe Ciccone must strike out and hope that Robert Smith doesn't strike on his first ball. Joe Ciccone makes a spare here. He strikes out. He shoots .258. Robert Smith goes 9 spare, strike. He shoots .258.
10-pin for Joe, who has never won a tournament in 89 career events.
No freebies here. No freebies. Come on. No freebies. Let's go.
If you're thinking roll-off, Joe had one. Round of 16, Justin Romick. In a 5-game win. In Game 1, Romick won the roll-off and went to multiple balls, 19-17. So Joe's been there recently. And a 1-2 career roll-off record so far. Needs it. 10-pin again for Joe Ciccone. And his parents,
Right.
Connie and Jim, watching back
that doesn't
home.
count.
The ball return must have hit that 10-pin. That's what Joe was talking about. He was hoping, hey, why don't we count all those?
Oh, boy.
Unfortunately, no.
2 pretty bad shots there, Joe.
Yeah. 2 weak 10s on this pattern. Joe's going to shoot .240 if he makes this. Spare here and a strike. He'll shoot .247. Robert Smith would need a mark in the 10th frame to advance.
Things looking very good for Smith. He's got a 4-bagger going right now, heading into his 10th frame. Joe wanted to make sure he had a shout-out to Marty Perano, the former PBA star back home. Syracuse, New York, watching today where Joe grew up. Rooting on our former stats boy. And he was just a little kid. It's amazing to see how far Joe's come over the years. Great finish for Joe Ciccone.
Right now, Joe's TV average in his last 2 games bowled on television is over .250. It's pretty good.
255, as we mentioned, against Brian Smith last year, his only TV appearance. 247 today.
All right, Rob, one time.
Just a mark. That's all the birthday boy needs.
Let's do it.
Robert Smith has changed his grip. He used to use a Sarge Easter.
There's a phone going off.
That's not good. All right, regroup, go through your pre-shot routine again. Like I was saying, Dave, he has gone back to a conventional fingertip grip. Remember, he used to use the Sarge Easter, which cut down on his rev rate. He's learned to control his rev rate with just a conventional fingertip grip.
Got that baseball mentality, talking about a pitch. Well, he wants a strike right down the middle here. Just needs a mark.
That doesn't happen.
Watch the 6-pin. The second pin to the right goes to the sidewall. Just gives the 10 a little nudge.
Safe.
Happy birthday, brother.
A little tap on number 10. What reaction for Robert Smith? He's bidding for a 7th career title today. And he'll have a chance. It won't matter. He's wrapped up a semifinal win.
Got one more to go.
Chris Barnes, Parker Bone III await
Not done yet.
Robert Smith.
Step one.
And the quest will continue for Joe Ciccone, bidding for his first ever title. A mark for Robert. And he has